You okay,
Yeah,
Sajid?
good
You're live?
evening, everyone. Welcome to the 11th episode of the ELSA TV channel. Today, we are going to talk about the power of the social media, AI, and the surgeons' current and futures. So, we have a lovely faculty from overseas and also lovely hosts from all over the globe. So I'm going to pass this mic without any delay to Dr. Sasim Podal, who is sitting in Japan at the moment, and to introduce the rest of faculty and to the moderators. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sajid, for the wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, distinguished colleague, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our panel discussion. It's titled AI, Social Media, and Future Surgeon, leading the conversation inside and outside the operating room. Today, we are privileged to have an outstanding panel of international experts who bring diverse perspective on surgery, innovation, and digital transformation and health leadership. Let me introduce our panel. Our first speaker would be Professor Rolf Haltong from UAE. He is a past president of ELSA, and he has an extensive international experience in surgical practice, education, and healthcare innovation. Joining him will be Dr. Ghafoor Mubarak from Malaysia. He's a senior consultant, surgeon, medical tourism expert, and recognized social media influencer who has successfully leveraged digital platform to educate patients and expand global reach of the healthcare. So now let me introduce the moderators for this session. I'm Sasim Paudel from Hokkaido University. I'm a GI surgeon and also a surgical education researcher. Helping me out will be Dr. Sam Amir Gurgon from Qatar. He's an associate professor of general surgery and chief medical officer and medical director at Pearl International Hospitals. Also, we have Dr. Sokjot Samseev from Uzbekistan. He's an accomplished surgeon and healthcare professional actively involved in advancing surgical education and international cooperation. So let us begin our discussion on how artificial intelligence and social media are reshaping the future of surgery and refining what it means to surgery and to be a surgeon in a digital age. So we'll first, I'll pass on the mic to Professor Emir. And when we'll be starting our first section will be like social media and professional credibility.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Sasim. So we will start with Dr. Ghafoor Mubarak. Really very interesting and popularized subjects these are. So I would like to ask Dr. Ghafoor, you are a powerful force in social media and medical tourism. And can a surgeon truly be an influencer without sacrificing clinical gravitas? Or like, where do you draw the hard line between educating a global audience and aggressive self-promotion?
Thank you, Jem. So I think number one, social media is now not something that you have where it is anything special anymore. So it is like a bicycle, That means you need to actually use it to get to where you want to go. So it is a tool, like how we use our scalpel, our energy, our laparoscope system. It is a tool that surgeons have to learn how to use. So, like any tool, it is only as good as its operator. So, if you use the tool in the right way, you will get good results. If you don't use it in a good way, you won't get good results. So, this is why there are people who are successful on social media and those who try, and they claim that it's difficult for them to actually break through because it is an art of learning and things like that. That's number one. Number two, I think that social media is not something that everybody needs to do surgery, but I think if you are a surgeon and you would like a message to go across to your peers or also to the public, if you have that intention, then the only vehicle that you can actually mobilize in this era is going to be social media. You can't use the press, you can't use TV, and no one listens to all this. So the question is, can you remain relevant to become a person who is trusted if you are in the same leagues as people who dance on social media, people who eat food and say, this tastes very nice, or people who go traveling and show beautiful things. So are you in the same league as these people, or how do you stand out, and how do people trust you? Because if you have a food reviewer on social media, you might decide not to trust him because this guy might be paid for it. But if you're a surgeon on social media, you cannot afford that mistake. That means you are doing it, and you better be sure that whatever you're doing, people can trust you. Because if you lose your trust, then basically your entire practice, your entire use of doing this is gone. So I think the way that I do it is I always look at the three differences between a social media influencer and someone who is a surgeon who wants to create awareness. One is the visual focus. So what is the visual focus here? Are you focusing on actually anatomical diagrams? Are you focusing on progression of patients that are being done and how they heal in times? Against, you are focusing on before and after. That means you are showing, for example, a patient who has done, for example, bariatric 6 months ago, and you keep showing what the results are 6 months later. So that would be a difference between someone who is actually being to create awareness and someone who is actually doing social influencer work. Second is the tone in which you deliver your message. If you are delivering a message on social media as a surgeon, the tone must be very evidence-based. It must be something that is objective. It must be balanced. That means it cannot be being highly favorite to one particular type of treatment against the other, one particular medication against the other, technique against the other. And it must be something that is neutral, and it must be balanced and evidence-based. And the final message in your social media, or I would say the call to action, it has to be, if you are confused about what I say, ask your local doctor about information, not click the link in my bio for more
Correct.
information.
Correct.
You agree? You
Absolutely right.
agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you should. So because if you are sending a message and you want people to actually listen to what you're saying, it's fine. But if people disagree, then they shouldn't have to click your link to actually find out more, which is what many people do. They bait them with some information. Maybe it's not real, and then they want them to click the link in their bio, and this is actually not the way that I think we should do it. So that's the three things that I think that are the more important ones. The second part of your question, Jem, is how do you make sure that you don't have any red flags? That means how do you as a surgeon be careful about what you post? Number one, you cannot sensationalize the operating theater, I think. You cannot make it look like you are in an airport and in an aeroplane cockpit with beautiful stewardesses. No, it's not like you're being in the OR with beautiful nurses around you. That cannot be the spirit of what you are trying to deliver actually. Number two, you cannot imply superiority. In fact, if someone like me is going on social media and we are there for, if we want to relay information, there are another 4 or 5 surgeons who don't need to go on social media, but their message is relayed. So I would say that those 4 or 5 surgeons are far superior than someone who has to go to relay those informations actually, because their reputation, word of mouth, people understand them organically easier and better than this doctor who has to go on social media. And also, I think the last thing that we cannot do is create a false sense of urgency. For example, we scare people, oh, if you have this hemorrhoid, if you don't do anything, you will die. Or, or you have this, you have this
There are a lot
gastritis,
of
really
yeah.
not gastritis, it's cancer, so you create a false sense of anxiety to people. And I think you cannot focus on what I call the wow factor. It cannot be the transformation. It has to be about the disease, the complications, what you're doing. It must be a comprehensive view about it. I hope that answers your question.
Right.
I hope.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you. So my second question is, this is the most important other part. So as you know, medical tourism relies
Yeah.
heavily on trust and
Yeah.
built through a screen. Does a massive digital footprint inherently build patient trust, or does it risk turning the surgical profession into a popularity contest?
Okay. Thanks, Jem. So I think, Jem, number one, for the first part of your question, does it actually improve the patient's perception about the surgeon? Okay. So when you do social media, the patient gets to see you before the patient comes to your clinic. So the patient not only judges your answers in social media, he also judges your facial expressions. He also judges what kind of a person roughly you are. They can draw some conclusions. So, for me, a lot of people think that because, as you know, I never used to have hair before, and then now suddenly I have a lot of hair. So
Like me.
yes, yes. So they,
Not
they, they,
suddenly.
they suddenly they think that maybe there is some AI tool or what, but I think there's no secret that I've gone and done some implants and and it's done very well. So it's that kind of an image. But they want to see actually beyond the professional person. Can they judge this person on a personal level before they see surgeons? Now, this is typically very important in countries, I think, that have got very difficult stigmas on doctors. I would say India, I would say Japan, I would say Malaysia, some Middle Eastern countries. They have this, I would use the word godlike image that doctors are these kind of people who are only like this. So they are looking for people that they would like to relate to as well. So they judge a lot of your character on social media. Now, the character can be true, it can be untrue, because people can be somebody else on social media, they can be somebody else in real life. I mean, I'm sure all of us agree on this. So it is not an absolute, but roughly it gives them an indication of what kind of person you are. And specifically for medical tourism is very important. So if they are coming from far away, they would like to know something about you before they come. And if they only hear about it from their relatives and friends, oh, I operated with Rolf or with Sasim or with Sajid or with Jem. He did an excellent job with me. Dr. Jem is a very handsome doctor, and Dr. Sasim, is very nice. Dr. Rolf wears very nice glasses and is very good in explaining. But then they want to actually know whether it's
No
true.
hair.
So they can get some validation when they see him. Now, is it a double-edged sword? Sword? Extremely, yes. 100% I agree with you. If you do one good thing, 5 people talks about you. You do one bad thing on social media. If you don't have social media, 100 people talk about you. If you have, 1,000 people talk about you. So you have to understand that you are putting yourself out there and there is an exposure not only on yourself but also the brand, and it can actually affect you not only for that time, for a long time to come. Now that is not taking into account the medical legal and also the local, I would say, rules that apply. For example, in the UAE, in Kuwait, in Qatar, in Dubai, in Japan, there might be different regulations for what you can and cannot do in social. You agree, Jem? You
Yeah.
think?
Yes,
Maybe
it's
maybe you cannot say
definitely like that.
I'm the best MIS surgeon in Dubai. No, you can't. Or I'm the best in Doha. You can't say those kind of stuff. But the implication, if you put yourself out there, is if you have a problem with doctors, is they complain and they make a complaint to you on a professional scale. That's one. But now you are also putting yourself out there to the public. So you have a chance of being a complaint against you of whatever you said or whatever you showed, not only in the professional channel of complaint, but also in the public channel of complaint. The public one is more dangerous. Don't you agree?
Yes,
If
I
they,
agree,
yes,
definitely.
if they put up
Okay.
I mean, which one do you
Thank
prefer?
you,
If you
Gafur.
get a, if you get a
Yeah.
complaint with the medical board, they call you, they said, hey, did you do this? I said, no. And usually it'll be one of your friends. But if the public complain about you, what will they do? They'll put it in a Facebook group. They'll put it in an Instagram group. That damage is much, much more. So I would think that
We
if
need to
anyone wants to
calculate
come
the
up,
risks and benefits also.
definitely, if you
Yeah.
feel that you cannot take the heat, then definitely don't get into the fire in this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Gafur.
you.
So I think Dr. Sasim
Yeah, I'll just,
will
since we
continue.
are talking about social media, I'll just ask one very important question about the ethics. Now, I think like we all can agree that social media is a breeding ground for medical hype and misinformation, like Dr. Kafu says. So, as a surgical leaders online, so what do you think? Is it our duty to actively debunk bad signs, or does engaging with these contents it just gives it more oxygen?
So I think I became famous on social media during COVID, and it wasn't something that I planned to do. Actually, during COVID, a lot of Malaysians don't want to take the vaccine. There's a very strong anti-vaccine movement in Malaysia. So I began coming out and talking about it because, if no one takes the vaccine, then you have no patients coming to your clinic. So, so you have to, indirectly, you have to tell them to take vaccine so that they can come to your clinic at least. If not, they're not vaccinated, they cannot go out, they can't come to your clinic and things like that. So a lot of things were debunked. That's number one. Number two, a lot of information is actually shared that people think is beneficial about specific diseases, which actually is not true. So does a surgeon have a responsibility to actually debunk? For example, if you're a surgeon who is doing colorectal surgery, is it your responsibility to debunk the myth that hemorrhoids only happen in fat women? Is it your responsibility or not? Then it's a very personal question. If you feel very strongly about it, then you can come out and do it. But I don't think that in our profession we have the responsibility to rectify a perception that is in the public. I believe that is the job of the respective ministries of health and information in the countries, I think. Yeah.
I think you put it very nicely. All right. So since we spent around 15 minutes talking about the social media, I think we can go to the next section, and then we can give Professor Rolf a chance to speak. Dr.
Good.
Shot, can you take over and let's start the session on AI?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Sasim, and thank you very much, Dr. Gafur, for your replies. I think because of you, this session is going very fun and smooth. And I have a question for Dr. Rolf. Professor Hartung, so our session's intro notes that the algorithm is watching. So will AI become the most vital surgical assistant in history? Like realistically, which part of our daily workflow will be completely automated or transformed in the next 5 years?
Yeah, thank you very much, Shamsud, for this. I have a small presentation on this. I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks good.
So you are asking about AI and, of course, in combination with robotics. Is this a vital assistant, yes or no? I'm, of course, not a prophet. I cannot tell you what will happen in the future. Currently, it is perhaps not yet. But I strongly believe in digital surgery, or in digital robotic surgery more specifically. And therefore, I will give you an estimate. Now, AI is based on a very old formula, which was described by Sir Thomas Bayes 300 years ago. So it's not really something brand new. So this typical thing he invented or he described is about conditional probability, which goes to this kind of what you all know, receiver operative curves and area under the curve. So as you can see on the left side, if more you come to the perfect classifier to this point up here, more better the prediction is. So this is something where you calculate the true positive rate, which is basically the sensitivity, versus the false positive rate, which is basically the 1 minus specificity. You all know sensitivity, specificity for every procedure, for every prediction. Now, further you come to this point, more accurate you are. And if we take those mathematics and translate this into the benefits of AI robotics and surgery, then you can conclude that there is improved precision, there is reduced intraoperative errors and complications, there is definitely also less surgical trauma, and there is an enhancement of surgeons' performance possible. Recently also, we proved that there is acceleration of the recovery, and by this, improve patient safety and better outcomes. Furthermore, there is recent evidence about the clinical effectiveness, and thanks to AI, for the first time, reduced operative times in robotics, which currently till date have been described always as longer as compared to laparoscopic surgery or open surgery. Finally, there's also improved surgical margins in oncology, so oncological surgery. Now, to come to your question, yes, I do believe that AI is a new surgical assistant. It's not about what will Alex do next or replace the surgeon. It's about AI, not only during surgery, but also before surgery, risk assessment, planning, etc. And after surgery means follow-up, outcome control, etc. But definitely it's about precision, decision support, real-time guidance during surgery, and more specifically, supports also the current robotic systems, mainly the Da Vinci from Intuitive. You can identify critical structures and by this reduce the complications, intraoperative complications, and you have a reduction of potential risk. So AI acts more like a co-pilot as a navigator and intelligent assistant, but in charge remains till date the surgeon, and he is or she is responsible for the final decision-making and the clinical judgment. That hasn't changed. There is also one thing which I already learned many, many years ago, maybe 40 years ago, when we started to use these, robotic arms, we call them at that time, but these are more or less jigs, intelligent jigs. But already at that time, my residents, my students complained because they said it became a one-man show. You want to do everything by yourself, then do it. And they left the theater. And this has caused a lot of problems at the university because you have an educational obligation. And therefore, yes, as a one-man show, you need to have assistance in from somewhere. Yes, Intuitive has developed dual console surgery, etc., but basically it's a one-man show. So assistive systems, thanks to AI, enhance perception, anticipate risk, give you feedback, can also influence your intraoperative decision-making to reduce errors. And this all remains under surgeon's control. Now, the second question about the autonomy is a little bit more complicated because there is no autonomy or full autonomy. There are different levels. Usually we describe the 5 levels. If we include no autonomy, the level 0, we come to 6 levels. But currently, all systems are level 1. Yeah, so we are in the year 2025, 2026. at the level of level 1 assistance by robots or by AI. But this has dramatically changed when Kim Wong published last year the autonomous cholecystectomy. All of you certainly have heard or read about it. You see it here down here. So a robot, a Da Vinci robot, which completely completed a laparoscopic cholecystectomy on its own without any human interference. Now, this kind of surgery is here, level 4. It's high autonomy. It's not fully autonomous because surgeon is still watching and evaluating, but it is a high level of autonomy. Now, if you ask me about the time frame, when will such things come to reality or to clinical application, I can say not. Definitely not yet, and definitely not before the year 2040. So another 14, 15 years from now. By that time, I will be dead. So short time improvement is expected to be basically related to an advancement in robotic assisted surgery. So more robots, more advanced robots. And midterm from the year 2030 or maybe 35 to 2040, a potential for more autonomous robotic systems specific to certain procedures. Now look at this development of automated surgery. We come from open surgery. When I was a young surgeon, there was basically no robotic assistance. There was no AI. That was open, pure open surgery. But when I was a young surgeon after my residency, it started to come in. So my first robotic surgeries, which were basically, as I said, intelligent drills or intelligent jigs, they started towards the mid-end of 80s. So already in 1986, we bought our first RoboDoc. At that time, it was called Caspar. So it was assigned to drill holes. It was assigned to help in hip replacement, etc. But the real hype only started in the year 2000 when FDA approved for the first time a robotic system, which was the Da Vinci system. Da Vinci system. So this is already 26 years running. So that is quite some time. And if you look at endoscopic surgery, I mean, minimally invasive laparoscopic surgery, till date, there is no 100% penetrance worldwide. So you see how long it takes until such innovations really come into clinical application. And when we go to the autonomous surgery here, I cannot predict in which year this might come. Certainly sooner or later it will come, but not anymore during my lifetime, and most probably not during the next 20 years. Where we are is level 2. AI came in, gives us clinical support and clinical decision making, but this is basically where we are. And what I just have demonstrated, the surgery under the team leadership of Axel Krieger in Johns Hopkins University, this is only done so far on pigs, first on cadavers, then on a few living pigs. But this is still experimental surgery, and there are plenty of problems and plenty of challenges which have to be solved before one can think about introduction of such surgeries, even partially like this SRTH, to do surgical clipping or to do surgical suturing automated. Even this will take many, many years before clinical application is possible. But however, as we cannot predict the future, but we can work on this. So we can create the future and work on those things. I do believe that what currently is possible is certain parts, tech parts of the robot can be automated. such as the autonomous camera control. So in the past, we had always a surgical assistant who was taking the camera, shivering, not showing exactly where I wanted to operate. So that has been deleted by introduction of robotic surgery, where the surgeon himself, herself, is positioning the camera by certain movements. Automation would say that you have surgical tools with sensors, and those sensors give feedback to an autonomous camera controller, which then will position the camera exactly where you want to have it or where your instruments are. So this is the earliest next step I can foresee what will happen in the near future. If this answers your question, Shotut.
Yes, of course, this is a very detailed answer, and thank you very much for your presentation. And I have my next question, that we often hear the phrase that AI won't replace surgeons, but surgeons who use AI will replace those who don't. I'm interested in your opinion. Is it, do you agree or not? And are there any boundaries where AI should never replace human judgment?
Yeah, I do agree, Shoksot, actually, because you might know I have been a director of hospitals. I have been promoting robotic surgery, AI, in not only theaters, but in hospitals, reaching from process automation, robotic process automation, to robotic pharmacies, from robotic instruments for cardiologists during catheter procedures to robotic endoscopy, etc., etc. So there are lots of applications for robots. And this is basically something which our young students, residents, and also our young surgeons have to learn. Because if they don't learn it, they will be definitely replaced, at least in those hospitals providing this technology by surgeons who are experienced in AI and in robots. But it is not the replacement, as you can see here, the way you think. So the replacement will not easily happen. Now, there are many reasons for this. So if you look at the prediction, what will happen with surgeries, all different kinds of surgeries in the future, you can notice or you can estimate already that the population will grow at a much faster pace as compared to the education of surgeons and the graduation of surgeons. As you can see here in the US, already in 2035, so not even in 10 years, there's a huge gap in between the caseload and actually the diminishing number of qualified surgeons. Now, this will implicate that a surgeon will have to work faster, have to work perhaps in a parallel fashion, as we did many years ago in war situations, etc., where one surgeon had a huge volume to cover. So that is a problem which is well known in the Western world and specifically in US. And the prediction is that surgery has to be faster, has to be more autonomous, and has to be more simultaneous for surgeons. Now, to produce this, you have to increase the capability of robots and the capability of surgeons, of course. Now, currently, as I said, the current robots are motorized jigs. I don't consider those as real robots. As we discuss robots, look at the Chinese development of Chinese robots, humanoid robots walking around, dancing, etc. That is a complete different story. But if we want to reach to this point, we definitely have to fill technically and AI related those forceful execution, the tool agnosticism, and the proprioception, which is basically something like feeling and feedback of feeling, as humans are doing. Now, many countries in America, they are the leaders, as well as in Europe, like here, this NHS robot drive project will definitely increase the number of robots to a huge number by 2035. So they estimate that about 500,000 operations will be supported by robotic surgery in 2035 in UK, as compared to 70,000 only currently. So you see here that there's a huge global increase of robotics. And if you estimate in the year 2030, look at general surgery, which is in dark blue here, there's a huge increase to almost 50% of all surgeries done in general surgery by robotic surgery. And obviously, also, there is a financial, economic aspect to it. So you can see here that by the year 2030, the expected global surgical robot market will be 30 billion US dollars. So this is an annual increase of 16.7%. So this is a huge increase. So therefore, I do believe that, to answer your question, that yes, the young surgeons need to be trained in robotics and AI. And eventually we can talk about this later when it comes to education and training of surgeons and the requirements for the graduation.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor Rolf. And I think we can go on with Dr. Sassim, yes? For next.
I just want you to add on to what you have just said. Like you said, robotics and AI is being uptaken, like it's being taken up, but it's mostly it's being taken up by many hospitals. But given your insights in the international healthcare system, do you think this explosion of expensive AI and robotic techniques will bridge the gap in global surgical care, or do you think it will aggressively widen the divide between the high-income countries and low to middle-income regions?
Yeah, that is a very important and very delicate question, I have to say, because yes, I do agree with your point that certain countries and certain hospitals within countries will progress faster than others. Now, if you relate this to countries, look at US, for example. So when you look at US, this is the country with the highest number of robots, 1,500, 1,800 Da Vinci robots alone in US. So a huge number of robots are working. And this has also increased the percentage, the prevalence of minimally invasive surgery, which was pretty low in US 10 years ago. But with this huge investment in robotic surgery, many surgeons, specifically in hernia surgery, as I have shown you on one of the slides, US surgeons have started to use the robot for hernia surgery. And by this, increase the penetration of laparoscopic surgery tremendously, which was high in Europe, specifically in France and in Germany, but which was pretty low in US. But even if you look at US, only 22% of all surgeries in US are performed robotically, and this is the leading country. So you can see that the history, what I said, 20 years, 6 years of Da Vinci robots in US takes quite some time to penetrate and to transform, let's say, modern surgery in modern or Western countries. Now, if you look globally, if you include, let's say, underdeveloped countries in Asia or in Africa, this has started, but it will take decades until they can catch up with this development, mainly due to financial reasons. So one more important point is the education of surgeons, because you should start educating surgeons in AI, or even students already in AI and robotics, to get them ready for the point, for the time they start doing surgeries, because only then it is also economically useful and makes sense to, let's say, hospital directors or investors to buy robots and to buy AI, which is quite expensive, so that this tool can be used. I think in many hospitals in the beginning, and I don't want to say that I'm without any mistakes in this also, we bought robots for marketing reasons, we bought robots to get better surgeons in, etc. But these robots have been not fully utilized. And I remember the first robot we bought was working only for few I think I'm off. Maybe the 1 hour is over. I have to log in again. Can you hear me?
No, you're
we
still
can
here.
hear.
Oh, okay. Then I continue. Yeah. So then it's important that those trainees, those young surgeons, are ready to use what has been bought. If it is not used, then definitely it is money waste, and this will only increase the cost in healthcare and not contribute to better outcomes for the patients. I mean, let's say, dilemma in between countries you cannot solve. I can tell you, when I was a surgeon working as head of department, director of surgery of different surgical departments, for 15 years, I tried to buy robots in Dubai, and always I failed due to economic reasons from at that time it was the government, from the support of the government. And when I became director, I had the power to buy the robots. So you see, that depends on many, many things which are not directly related to the surgeon. So therefore, I do believe that buying robots, improving this system will contribute to better outcomes, yes. But yes, it might eventually widen the gap or the distance in between high-end centers and hospitals in rural areas, unfortunately. Yeah.
Can I add in a bit, Sasim, on this?
Yeah,
I
please.
think
Go on.
my opinion on this is, I think exclusivity in something is always very expensive, but inclusivity makes it affordable. Okay, so now in many countries the robotic model is exclusive. That means a big hospital like in Hokkaido buys a robot, then only the surgeons in that hospital are able to uh, learn robotic procedures, so, or how to use the robot. So that is an exclusive model. But an inclusive model, I think I truly agree with what Rolf is saying. You can actually go the other way around to actually boost the economical model. You can train more surgeons. They can actually do robot in some way. They go back to their hospitals. They tell their directors, I have got certification in this robot, that robot, and this robot, and the hospital will be driven to buy a robot. So it's not so much. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I
Yes.
think we have to come out of the thinking that the robot is going to become cheaper, because if you look at laparoscopic systems, they have only become more expensive. If you look at in the 1990s, I was not a doctor yet. No. So it's fake. So maybe in the late 2015, 16s, when I started becoming a surgeon and all, and until now, the systems on laparoscopy has only become more expensive. From HD, from true, it became HD to full HD, then to 4K. So if we are waiting for this technology to become cheaper and only then we are going to buy it and use it, it will not work. It
Yeah.
might work. So, yeah.
Gafur, I think, yes, you are right. And if you look at the slide here, you can see that robotic surgery and the gap in between laparoscopic and robotic surgery in terms of cost is getting wider and wider. So the
Yes.
costs are rising faster than the cost of laparoscopic surgery. And if you compare this in between the different procedures or the different departments, look at the gynecologists here. The hysterectomy is almost not more expensive robotically as compared to open surgery or laparoscopic surgery, while here, for example, in colectomy, it's much more expensive. Yeah. So yes, I agree with you. These are things we have to correct in the future. Otherwise, we get trapped. No?
Yeah. I think the economical model cannot be an elitist model. It cannot be driven by elite hospitals for specific surgeons and then trickling down. I believe it must be a down to up model. That means it must be surgeons who are trained who drive the hospital or direction to actually move towards robotics.
The good
But Ralph,
news
let me ask you
the good news is that a
Prof,
hospital.
can you have your video on, Professor? Your video is off.
Oh, okay.
We cannot see you.
Just give me a second. Let me see how it goes. Can
Right.
you see this presentation or not?
Yes,
I think.
Okay.
I think you have to unshare the presentation, or you can on the camera or something like that.
Yeah, no problem. That's fine. So let us continue, because this discussion about the equity is a big ethical discussion, because equity or justice is one of the main ethical pillars, one of the 4 main ethical pillars, and equity in robotic surgery currently doesn't exist. Whether this will come sooner or later is a different topic to discuss. Yeah, it's an ethical problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Professor, for your wonderful insights. We are coming to the end of this present talk. Because of such energetic talk by Professor Gafur and Rolf,
we can go on longer. Nice.
Yeah, but so before we end, I think we can have some practical application. Sukshoth, would you like to talk about some practical application that we can use?
Yes, please. So regarding practical application, I have one question to give our audience immediate actionable insights. So please, Professor Hartung and Dr. Gafur, what specific AI or digital tools are you personally using in your practice right now that the rest of us should adopt tomorrow or even today?
Okay, can I start?
Yeah, Gafur, go ahead.
So I'm sure everyone is aware of chat. I mean, the ones that I personally use. For day to day, that means I mean, I'm heavily into AI. I ask AI, even if I go to a restaurant, whether or not the toilet here is clean or not. So you can imagine how obsessed I am with asking AI questions. So I think if you are asking, the first Shokzot, I think the most important in Shokzot, you have to develop a skill to use the AI tools. So you need to ask the right question. Like Rolf mentioned, it is all based on that Bayes algorithm. It is as simple as that. Where the curve moves more upwards, the algorithm will tell you that this is most likely the answer. And if the curve moves more downwards, it'll show. So the question basically is very important and very unique to where you are and actually what you want based on your circumstances. So based on that, I think the best that I use for my general usage is Claude. Claude, Claude by Anthro. Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Yeah. So I use Claude. I think it's very good. And I quite like using DeepSeek. I find that the language and the ease in using DeepSeek, especially for publication search, is very easy. ChatGPT basically is like listening to Donald Trump tell me that the war is going to end. It basically never happens. It's like you ask ChatGPT something, and ChatGPT will be very
No,
diplomatic.
the war is won already.
Yeah. One day he will say the war is won. The next day ChatGPT will say no. They are very clever negotiators. So so it is very difficult to answer. Now I also think that a lot of us need a lot of creative AI for our image, audio, and video editing. I think this is where the real strength of in our profession it comes to. So I think the ones that we can use is actually Adobe Firefly. Now I use most of my video editing using Adobe Firefly. Just tell it what it wants, and subsequently it will basically just be able to what do you call it, come to those particular clips. And for our documentation, that means we want something that when we don't have to keep on writing, because now there are a lot of implications medical legally on our documentations. Now I voice record most of my clinical notes, and I use Notion AI for translating that into my clinical notes. So I find that these are the three tools that I use mainly on that. I don't use so much Google Gemini unless I find that I have to ask something about social media related trends. That means lifestyle related, which restaurant is nice, which food is good, and all that. Those are more towards Google Gemini. So, in summary, it's going to be Claude, it's going to be DeepSeek, it's going to be Adobe, and it's going to be a bit of Notion AI as well on my side. So it's not just one answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. From my side, I would say, as I'm retired, I'm not performing surgeries anymore, and I quit from the university last year. So I can say I'm using AI, as Gafur said, for my research, for my publications, for my students. I'm still supervising for revising articles as a reviewer, as an editor. So these things, yes. But when it comes to training, and this was my main job over the last 2 years, then it is basically always that I remind the students, the residents, that it is about their mindset. So what is required for students to learn and to apply, and what we do apply at Gulf Medical Universities, is simulation, training, and digital health, and most importantly, literacy in AI, including bias and ethical challenges. So the training of residents has massively changed and has to change further towards digital professionalism. So if you compare, for example, surgeries done by robot with support, digital support, you can see here that robot-assisted novices here learn much faster laparoscopic surgery as compared to laparoscopic surgeons without robotic assistance. So this is a much flatter curve. And furthermore, you can evaluate the training result by the movements you record with visual camera recording to a result like this, which is a much better surgery done as compared to here. Now, we are using this not only as training, but we also train for surgeries, not only for surgeries, we train our students and residents in virtual reality. So this is what is a daily practice now at universities. And you see here our students training themselves, as we also believe in self-directed learning. So these machines are available at any time to any trainee to use and to train themselves to improve their skills and their proficiency. Gulf Medical University also offers a master in AI and health informatics. So this is something I started to look at when I was a student in France. In Bordeaux was one of the few universities in Europe. They offered already health informatics for medical students as part of their studies. And of course, this part has developed tremendously since then, when I had to learn Fortran language and punch holes in cards, etc. So this is completely different today. And students and residents can actually register for a master in AI and health informatics simultaneously to their education in surgery or in medicine. So this is something which I believe has to start at an early age of our young colleagues, because the old guys like myself, either you have done it for your entire life already and kept up with the development, or you are too old to learn this and to apply this anymore. So therefore, I believe this is something I'm still doing and I'm still using to train the next generation. For myself, I don't need it anymore. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very
very
much, Professor.
I think we have come to the end of our allocated time. Professor Zem, can you conclude? I think I leave the mic to you to conclude the session.
I think session should be concluded by Sajid, but he's not here. And thank you very much, Dr. Rolf. Really, the presentation also was impressive, and your expectations from the future, it was amazing. And thank you very much, Dr. Gaffer. Really, it was directly your personality, and you reflected to us how should be ethical and in the correct boundaries. Thank you very much for all.
Thank you.
Thank you
you.
so much. And I'm always
Thanks for
here.
the trust in
He's there.
I cannot go away. No, it was a wonderful session, excellent talks, and I think I enjoyed thoroughly both talks from Dr. Ghafoor and Professor Hartung, and excellent questions from the host as well. I think we can conclude now. Any take-home message, I think, for the audience only. We always ask by the end of the session one message each from one of you, Prof. Hartung and Prof. Dr. Ghafoor, both of you. One
I
message to the
talked enough.
audience to
I
take
talked
away.
enough. I make it very short, Sajid.
Yes, just
Robots are here
one.
to stay.
Yeah.
I think
Robots
I
are
think
here to stay. I mean,
yeah, and my message is I would advise surgeons to embrace social media like a blanket. Don't just cover yourself with it. Don't shy away from it. And I would like to take this opportunity to also wish all the World Cup teams that are represented in this webinar good luck for the next.
Thank
We
you.
have a few: Turkey,
Yes, we are
Germany,
there.
and
We
also
have
we have
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan
Yes,
is
we have
Yes.
Uzbekistan as well.
Yes, I am
Yeah.
rooting for Uzbekistan this
Absolutely.
year.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank
guys,
you.
take care.
And we are going back to the room. And
Okay.
let me just take back to the faculty, to the room.